Involve everybody in this one. I'm going to back up from what Leslie Hara just mentioned. We've talked about it a few times, Global Elyria Swansea neighborhood. That area deals with the environmental impact of the Suncor refinery, one of Colorado's largest polluters. So I'm a novice at this, but please raise your hand if you would put pressure on state and federal regulators to put additional environmental restrictions on the Suncor refinery. Universally, everybody has raised their hand. Ian Tafoya, what specifically would you be seeking?
Well, I just want to start out by saying a couple things, because when you brought up GES before, we talk a lot about public safety. There are people living in our communities who aren't safe to breathe their air. It's not safe to drink their water. It's not safe to cross the street to a bus stop because of the infrastructure we've built. I also want to say that people talk a lot about Suncor. Across the street from Suncor is the Cherokee gas plant, directly connected to Xcel Energy, and it's connected to a network with Comanche gas plant in Pueblo, Colorado. The city of Denver didn't do enough to say we got to shut down these facilities and we have to move to new processes, especially for Comanche, which is a predominantly Latino community as well. We put pressure on them. We marched for days on Xcel Energy. We can leverage them. The state and federal, we've been doing the work, and I would love it if more people would join us in it. I want to be also clear, Suncor gets a lot of the attention. There are 189 businesses violating federal environmental law in North Denver. I wrote this report and released it last year. We sued over I-70. We've learned about the cumulative pollution. Some of the things we can do immediately around Suncor, they have flaring. We can stop the flaring. We can make sure that we're holding them accountable for the benzene that they're emitting. They're in the middle of a water permit right now. There's still an opportunity for you guys to get involved.
Debbie Ortega, sitting on City Council, I'm sure some of this has come in front of you. What specifically have you done, and what would you do to go after state and federal regulation on Suncor or other polluters?
So I want to talk about a couple other projects as well. So I led working with the global community to deal with the Sarco cleanup, which contaminated the soils in that neighborhood. It also resulted in one of the largest class action lawsuits and settled that did the cleanup of the soils in the neighborhood to a greater degree than what the state had been negotiating with that company. These neighborhoods have been in the shadows of I-70. They've been dealing with the pollution from that project for many years. My office alone submitted 40 pages of comments to the environmental impact statement that was all focused on mitigating the impact of the environmental effects of that project. They were all funded except trees, and the community was successful coming back later to get that done. With Suncor, as a council person that used to represent that district, this is how far back that pollution has gone. I have worked with those communities to address that issue and continue to do that.
Thank you.
I'm not hearing you address what you're doing with state or federal regulators. We have a huge opportunity right now with Yadira Caraveo, a public health professional becoming a congresswoman. Representative DeGette and I have worked very closely on this issue. I haven't seen you in those dialogues. And we talk about mitigation. Our communities wanted opposition, and the only reason we were able to get what we wanted is because we were opposite. You've chosen to broker this middle deal when the communities that want justice want justice.
Well, let me
please let her respond.
Example, part of that mitigation, we were able to get $2 million to replace the housing that was taken. This was a state project, right? It wasn't a city project. So we were successful getting some of that housing replaced. We worked on making sure the homes that were left in the neighborhood had mitigation to prevent the dust and the air pollution from coming into their neighborhood with new windows and doors. I mean, I could go on with the list, but there were many things that happened as a result of fighting to make sure that that project was being mitigated, knowing full well that City Council and the mayor had supported the project to move forward as it had been planned. We were looking at a whole different way of addressing that problem by routing that traffic away from those neighborhoods. I wasn't successful in getting that done through a proclamation that was brought to City Council.
Rerouting is not fair, Debbie, because now you're saying that the brown communities in Commerce City deserve the pollution instead of the people in Denver. We have to have solutions that regionally bring people together and do not create sacrifice zones because we don't want to hear. That's more of the not in my backyard mentality.
Thank you.
We had better solutions.
15 seconds to wrap back up if you like.
This was a community process that everybody got to participate and weigh in. The decisions were made at the state and federal level to fund and move forward with that project. We're stuck with what they approved, but my focus was trying to mitigate the impact on those neighbors as best we could.
Thank you. Thank you.